Self O.S. Awareness is power.
You know what's funny? And I mean funny in the way where you laugh and then you go quiet because it's actually kind of true. I used to get so mad when someone cut me off in traffic. Like, not annoyed, mad. Full, complete, total commitment to the idea that this person had personally wronged me. That they had looked at all the cars on the road, all of them, and decided, that one. That's the one I'm going to cut off today. And I would just go, screaming at someone who couldn't hear me about something that was going to matter to exactly nobody in about 4 minutes. And I meant it, every word, like the world was ending right there in the left lane on a Tuesday. And now I look at that and I think, NASCAR race to nowhere. Everybody's in a hurry to get somewhere that's going to feel exactly like where they just left, including me. That's the thing that got me, including me, because it wasn't just the car. It was the restaurant where I could feel the energy shift before anything had even happened yet. It was a conversation where I was so certain I was right that I wasn't actually listening anymore. I was just waiting for my turn to be right again. And at some point I had to ask myself something that I wasn't sure I wanted to answer to. Where did I learn that? Because I didn't choose it. Nobody chooses their first language. You just absorb it in rooms before you're old enough to know what's happening. And then one day you're in a car or a restaurant or a conversation and the first language runs and it feels completely justified because it always does. That's what we're talking about today. Not them, you and me, and the race we've all been running to a finish line that was never there.
Ever notice how the conversation ended, but you're still having it? Still replaying what they said. Still rewriting what you wish you had said. And somewhere in the middle of that, the day is over, but your mind is still running. There's a guide in reflection, designed by Self O.S. It's called Pause Before You React. 6 questions, 1 clear response. A way to catch the pattern before it turns into another lap around the same track. The link is in the show notes. You're here. Episode 12. The race to nowhere.
So okay. Let me start with the easy version first. The one that's not you. Because I think you need to see it from the outside first before we turn the mirror around. And trust me, we're going to turn the mirror around, but not yet. You've been to a restaurant with this person, maybe more than once. And you already know, before the menus hit the table, that it's going to be a whole thing. You can feel it. The way the energy shifts when they sit down. The way they look around the room like they're already disappointed and no one's done anything yet. And it starts, not loudly, not immediately, just, the water temperature is wrong. The bread took too long. The server smiled at someone else first. And you're sitting there thinking, we're at a restaurant, a place specifically designed to bring people food and make them happy. And somehow, this person has turned it into a courtroom where everyone is on trial and they're the judge and jury, and also, somehow, the victim. All at once. It's actually kind of impressive when you think about it. And then the snap. You know the snap. Not a wave, not a polite excuse me, a snap. Like they're calling I don't even want to say it. You know what I'm talking about. And you want to disappear into the booth because that server is a person with a whole life, a whole day, a whole situation you know nothing about. And they just got snapped at. Like they were an inconvenience. Like their entire existence in this moment was an imposition on someone who came to a restaurant and expected what exactly? I'm not even sure they know. Now let's get in the car, because the restaurant is one thing, but the car is where people show you who they really are. And they show it to you when they think nobody's watching, or when they forget the kids are in the back seat, or when they've just had a day. You know the kind. Not a bad thing happened, just everything accumulated. And someone emerges, completely anonymous, never going to see them again, and something just detonates. Not a reaction, a detonation. Full volume, full commitment. Every horn honk lasting about 3 seconds longer than it needs to. And they mean it. Every single word. Because in this moment, this complete stranger who merged on a Tuesday is the source of everything wrong. And in 4 minutes, it will be completely irrelevant. But the energy that went into it, the cortisol, the blood pressure, the full emotional commitment to a NASCAR race going exactly nowhere, that stays. That follows you into the parking lot, into the building, into the dinner table where your family is trying to tell you about their day. The race ended, but you're still in it. And then there's the last one, the subtle one, the one that's the most exhausting to be around because it's so quiet about it. The person who is just certain about everything. The traffic is always everyone else's fault. The project failed because of everyone else's decisions. The relationship ended because of what the other person did. And every opinion they hold, every single one, is correct. And yours, well, yours is, you're entitled to it. And you're wrong. And they'll explain why, in detail, for as long as it takes. Because they're not trying to win. It's not about winning. They genuinely cannot conceive of a reality in which they are not right. And that's exhausting in a way that's hard to describe until you've sat across from it. Because you can't argue with certainty. You can't present evidence to someone who has already decided the verdict. You just sit there and nod and wait for it to be over. Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. And by interesting, I mean slightly uncomfortable. So stay with me. What do all three of those have in common? The restaurant, the car, the certainty. None of it is about what it looks like it is about. The snap isn't about the service. The scream isn't about the merge. The certainty isn't about being right. It's all signal. Every single bit of it. Signal that something underneath is running hot. Something that was loaded before the restaurant, before the car, before the conversation. Something that learned a long time ago that this is what you do when the world doesn't cooperate. You make noise. You take control. You establish that you matter. Because at some point, in some room, that was the only way to do it. Now, I want to ask you something. And I want you to actually sit with it before you answer. Don't answer it immediately. Just sit with it. When was the last time that was you? Not them. You. When was the last time you were the energy in the room that shifted? The one who turned a meal into a performance. The one in the car running a race to nowhere. The one who was so certain, absolutely, completely certain that everyone around you was wrong and you were right. I'm not asking you to make you feel bad. I'm asking because I know what that looks like. Because I've been there. Not in a restaurant, but in a car. Oh, absolutely. Full commitment, screaming at someone who couldn't hear me about something that was going to matter to exactly nobody, including me. And I meant every word of it. Like I had been personally selected of all the cars on all the roads. This person found me. Here's what I know now that I didn't know then. I didn't choose that reaction. Not really. I observed it for years. Before I ever got behind a wheel, before I ever sat down at a restaurant, before I ever had an opinion worth defending, I watched someone respond to a world that wasn't cooperating with noise, with certainty, with anger as the answer. And I learned it the way you learn a first language, without knowing you're learning it, without choosing it, just absorbing it. Until one day it was just how I responded. Automatic, immediate, completely convinced it was right because it always felt right. And that's the thing about a first language. It never arrives with a disclaimer attached that says, by the way, this is a learned response that has nothing to do with what's actually happening right now. It just runs. And here's how I figured it out. And I want to be honest about this because I think people expect the answer to be bigger. It wasn't a moment. It wasn't a revelation. It wasn't a book or a therapist or a podcast. Well, maybe a little of this. I figured it out by watching other people do it, people close to me, and not liking what I saw. And then going quiet inside. Because I recognized it, not theoretically, personally. That's them. That's what that looks like from the outside. That's me. That's what I look like when it runs. And that recognition, that specific uncomfortable, cannot unsee it recognition is what started changing it. Not willpower, not a decision, not 5 steps, just seeing it. And others first. And then in the mirror. And every time it started to happen after that, I'd catch it. Not always in the moment, sometimes 20 minutes after, sometimes the next day. But I'd catch it, and I'd stop, and I'd name it. That's the pattern. That's the first language running. That's what it does. And then I'd let it go. A little easier than I did the last time. That's it. That's the whole thing. Not a transformation. Just a practice. Repeated. Imperfect. Real.
You know this feeling. It's already there before anything happens. Before the door, before the table, before the merge, before the first word is even said. It's already running. Sitting in your chest, like something that never really turned off. Ready. Just waiting for a reason. And then it finds one. Something small. Something that shouldn't matter. The water's off. The timing's wrong. Someone cuts in front of you. Someone says it in a way that lands wrong. And that's all it needs. It goes. Not a reaction. It takes over. Full volume. Full commitment. And it feels right. That's the part people don't say. It feels right. Because this pattern, it doesn't show up as a mistake. It shows up as certainty. It doesn't ask permission. It just runs. And now you're in it. Completely in it. Pushing something that doesn't need to be pushed. Burning energy on people who won't remember it. On moments that don't last. On things that disappear a few minutes after they happen. And still, you're all the way in. Because when this runs, it always means it. That's what got handed down. Not just the reaction. The belief that the reaction is right. Notice that. Don't fix it. Don't argue with it. Just notice it. The pressure, the pull, the way it was already moving before you chose anything. See it. That's it. That's the shift. Nothing changed out there. Same road, same people, same situation. But you're not in it the same way. You can see it now. And once you can see it, you don't have to follow it. doesn't end the pattern. It just interrupts it. For a second. That's enough. That's where it starts. That's the pattern. That's what it does. And now, you can see it.
Still here? Good. Take a second before we go any further. Whatever came up in that track, whatever version of yourself showed up in it, don't move past it too fast. Because here's what most people do the moment they see themselves clearly in something like this. They turn on themselves. They go straight to, okay, so something is wrong with me. Where do I fix it? And I get it. That's the instinct. But that's not what this is. What you just did, seeing the pattern, recognizing the first language running, catching yourself in the race, that takes something. Most people never get there. They stay in the certainty that the other person is the problem and the race is justified and the snap was warranted. You didn't stay there. So before anything else, give yourself that. Not absolution, not a pass, just a little grace. That's it. Now I want to go deeper into the first language because I said it in the first half of the show and I want to make sure it actually landed the way I meant it. Every behavior we talked about, the restaurant, the car, the certainty, none of it arrived fully formed. None of it was chosen. It was learned in a house, at a dinner table, in the backseat of a car where you weren't supposed to be listening, but you were absorbing everything. In rooms where the adults were working something out and the kids were just watching. And what got filed away was not a lesson. It was a frequency. This is what you do when the world doesn't cooperate. This is the language of this house. And you ran that frequency until it became the only one you knew. And here's what I want you to understand about the person in the restaurant, the one doing the snapping, the one performing outrage over the bread. I used to look at that person and think, what is wrong with them? And now I look at that person and I think, what happened to them? Not as an excuse. What they're doing still has a cost. The server still got snapped at. The people at the table are still uncomfortable. That's real, and it matters. But understanding where it came from, understanding that it's a first language running on autopilot and a person who probably has no idea it's running, changes how you carry it. It stops being about you, and it starts being about them, about what they're carrying, about what was handed down to them before anyone asked their permission. Because the anger that got handed down to them, somebody handed it to them first. The certainty that became their only safe place, somebody taught them that certainty was how you survived. The snap, somewhere back in someone's history, there was a room where making noise was the only way to matter, where being certain was the only way to feel stable, where anger was the only answer anyone had available, and it got passed down, generation to generation, like furniture, like a last name, like a way of moving through the world that nobody ever questioned because it was just how things were done. That's not an excuse. That's the mechanism. And understanding the mechanism is what changes it. Here's the thing about toxic behavior that nobody says directly. The people doing it, most of them, don't know they're doing it. Not in the moment, not in real time. The car streamer is not thinking, I'm going to overreact disproportionately to this merge in a way that reveals my unresolved emotional patterns and cost me 15 minutes of elevated cortisol and whatever version of me my family gets at dinner tonight. They're just reacting the way they've always reacted, the way they watch someone react, the way the first language runs when something bumps into it, automatic, immediate, completely convincing, because it has always been. And I know this because I was there in that car, full commitment, and I meant every word. In the moment, I completely meant it because the first language doesn't come with a disclaimer. It just runs. What changed it wasn't willpower. It wasn't a decision. It wasn't 5 steps or a book or a moment of clarity where everything rearranged. It was observation. I watched someone I was close to do the thing, and I didn't like what I saw. Not because it was wrong in some abstract philosophical sense, because I recognized it. I knew that pattern from the inside, and seeing it from the outside, seeing what it looked like to everyone else in the room, did something that willpower never could. Maybe not want to be that. Not out of shame, out of clarity. Just, I can see this now, and I don't want to hand it forward. And then I started catching it. Not always in the moment, sometimes 20 minutes after, sometimes the next morning, sometimes 3 days later when the same situation came back around and something in me went, oh, that's what that was. And every time I caught it, early or late, I did the same thing. Stopped, named it. That's the pattern. That's the first language running. That's what it does. And then I let it go. A little easier than the time before. Not perfectly, not permanently. There are still days, still the car, still the moment where the first language gets there before I do. And it runs, and I do the thing, and then I catch it, and I name it, and I let it go a little easier than the last time. That's the whole practice. Not a transformation, just someone who catches it a little sooner every time. And here's what I want to leave you with. About the person in the restaurant. About the person in the car. About the version of yourself that shows up sometimes in ways you don't love. None of them are toxic. The behavior is, and behavior, unlike personality, unlike who you fundamentally are, can be interrupted. One recognition at a time. One naming at a time. One let it go a little easier than last time. The people who handed you the first language were doing the best they could with what they were handed. They didn't choose it either. And now it's yours. What you do with it, how long you let it run, whether you hand it forward or interrupt it there. That's the only part that was ever up to you. You already know what the race feels like. You've been in it. Maybe today, maybe this morning. Maybe you're in something right now that's going to be completely irrelevant in 4 minutes. It's a NASCAR race to nowhere. And you just found the exit. Not because someone gave it to you, because you saw it. And a thing you can see, you don't have to follow.
You took the exit. Maybe just now. Maybe for the first time. The race is still out there. It'll be there tomorrow. Someone will merge. Something will bump into it. But you know what it is now. And the thing you know, you can name. And the thing you can name, you can let go. A little easier than last time. The first language is still yours. It came from somewhere real. But it doesn't have to go where it's always gone. You can see it now. That's not nothing. That's everything. The race to nowhere has an exit. You just found it. Self O.S. Episode 12.
This was a production of Self O.S. Awareness is power.